we would be discussing the reading comprehension questions which were asked in your 2021 examination. Now, some of the passages were easy relatively, but others were based on the core economics. Like this question passage was based on economics. It says that there is a question whether advertisement induces demand for individual company product more or less elastic. Now, a student of economics would understand it very easily, but even if you are not a student of economics, you would have to take a little pain to understand it, and you would have all gains then. So the evidence indicates that advertising of the brands tend to make up the demands relatively inelastic for varying period of time. The data which supports this condition has been found in relatively rigid prices for many advertised articles. That brand advertising would have its effect. This effect is natural for an objective of brand advertising is to build consumer preferences. So when we are trying to do brand advertising, the idea is to build the preferences of the consumers. Some consumers would stick to the brand despite of whatever price relationship is, and the idea is they have a very strong brand preference. They are totally immaterial about the pricing infrastructure. So their preferences have made the demand for the brand relatively inelastic. Rarely they have tested the inelasticity of their brand by raising or holding up their price when the competitors have failed to follow the similar procedures. So if competitors do so, they fail to follow it, but a company which is well established, has a strong reputation, would have a strong brand preference and would actually be not related to the price changes. Yet there were examples where manufacturers in the period of depression held their prices rigid while the prices of some of the competitors were lowered. In all these instances, price competition was found to come into play sooner or later, and either demand shifted to the sellers with lower price and reduction in the price was forced. The quickness with which price competition comes into play varies in different product field. In the field of proprietary remedies, the highly individualized brands of the nature of the branded product and the tendency of the consumers to build a strong attachment to the brand has given brands an inelastic demand over relatively long period of time, and the price competition has eventually developed. So based on this, the inelasticity of the article in terms of non-varying prices is due to, as it has been mentioned in the paragraph, it is mainly due to the advertisement of the branded products. So advertising of the branded product is the reason for demand inelasticity. It is clearly mentioned in the paragraph. So it is the based on the advertised articles, the relatively rigid price of the advertised articles. The next is, why do some manufacturers make their brands of the product demand inelastic? This is because they have a feeling that there is a strong customer preference and the customer is immaterial of the price being charged. They just want to stick to the brand that they want. So this paragraph talks about the price competition and the branded products in market and how the brand value dominates the customer preferences. That's the key idea, how the brand value would actually influence or dominate the preference of the customer irrespective of whatever advertisement is done. If I have a strong association to a given brand, I'll just go and buy that brand, whatever the price, whatever the existing advertisements which are running. Strong consumer attachment for branded product would lead to, so strong attachment would lead to demand inelasticity, as it has been clearly mentioned in the paragraph, the last two lines. Coming back to the paragraph, so these brands have an inelastic demand over long period of the time and they build in a strong attachment for the customers. And what was the post-depression development as regards to product pricing? So as regard to product pricing, the post-depression development was increased market for branded products, clearly mentioned again in the passage. So just coming back to the passage again, it says that yet there were numerous examples in the period of depression where their prices were rigid and while the prices generally of the competitors were lowered. So keeping the price of the brand stable despite the fact that there was a change in the price for the competing product. So increased market for the branded product was seen during the post-depression period. The person who was acquainted to the product would go just for that product despite the other products which are available in the market. You can just have a simple example in mind that let's say you are going for a particular brand of N95 mask. Now you would go only for that brand. There could be 10,000 new brands that could be in the market who could offer lower rates. The next is another paragraph. Let us look at what you can do to eliminate the destructive habit, whether it is obesity, being late, profanity, smoking, being short-tempered, or alcoholism. So these are talking, this passage is talking about various destructive habits, from obesity to being late to smoking to being short-tempered or alcoholic. The first and the foremost thing is to decide that you want to eliminate it. So the idea is I must keep it in mind, I want to remove this habit. That is the decision you and only you can make. Without this motivation on your part, no person would have any significant impact. If someone else talks you into it, the chances are strong you would perhaps start, but that effort would be short-lived. You won't pursue it for long. Remember, you don't reach someone else's goal. You reach only the goals that you have created for yourself. So many times you end up further behind than you would have been. You not attempt to quit a habit which you were not ready to give up. So this says that if I decide, then I can do it. If I don't decide it and I'm being pushed by someone, I'll go a little while, but then I'll drop it. It would be short-lived. So decide you no longer are going to be slave to any destructive habit. So the first thing is you have to decide that I am no longer being slave to any destructive habit. Decide that I want to control my life, I want to be free, I want to do things with the life instead of having things done to my life. It's not that things are just coming and getting into my life. I want the things to be done in my life. So it is tougher, much tougher to quit a bad habit, but fortunately it results in fun and is rewarding. Former smokers, alcoholics and fat folks in the glowing terms give us exhaustive details concerning the joy and the excitement of shedding the ponds, giving up the need and getting off the bottle. That means it says that those people who were previously addicted to bad habits like were fat or alcoholic or smokers have now quitted, but they have said that this process is joyous and exciting and it gives us more joy. So the ex-smokers talk about exiting the taste of the food, the clean air of the smell, clothes, furniture. They talk about new self-respect and satisfaction that has come in their life and a lot of living of their lives. So the elimination of the destructive habit depends on my own self-resolve. So that's the only thing. If I decide, I can get rid of it. That's the key message of the passage. The passage is about what? The passage is about the benefits of giving up the bad habits, and once you give up the bad habits, the joy in giving up the bad habit is actually exciting and is more rewarding. The person who decides to leave a bad habit is actually in control of his own life, as the passage says. So the passage clearly says here that the person now thinks that I derive more self-respect and satisfaction, and I am decide that you are no longer going to be slave of any destructive habit, and you want to control your life, you want to be free, you want to do things with your life, not have things done to your life. So it says clearly that I want a control of my own life. Clear? The next is fending off the bad habits would earn a person. If I am removing the bad habits, I would get more self-respect from the last line of the passage. So getting more self-respect is the right answer here. And the last question based on this passage is the impact of someone else motivating a person to move away from the bad habit is short-lived. As it is said in the passage, that means here another synonym of short-lived is what? Transient. Transient means short-lived. It's there for a while and then it wipes off. So the correct answer here is 3. Clear? So those were some of the two passages that we have discussed. The passage questions relatively are scoring. If you are practicing the passage questions carefully and going through few passage questions before your examination, definitely you can secure well. And also those who face difficulty with one of the languages, they can go for bilingual translation. So read the passage in both the language so that you can better understand the meaning of the passage and then answer the questions accordingly. So that's actually a real benefit in your NET examination, not available in other examinations. For more questions and queries, follow the video description below, and we have the important links for you to practice. Wish you very good luck for your examination. Thanks for joining in.